today is avatars, and then putting these avatars into our world and getting them up and moving and running and having fun with that. So we're recording, and we'll see if, I doubt Fuse will be done, so we'll remote in for that first. So we have a couple pieces of software. Adobe makes its own character creation software. It's called Adobe Fuse, and it's part of the Creative Cloud. You can download it, install it. It rigs and does all the stuff for the characters. We're also today going to use a thing called MakeHuman. MakeHuman is an open source project from Carnegie Mellon University that has its own features. And so again, open source, so you can contribute to this project, and it looks completely different. But there are like tons and tons of these things that have come out. There's more 3D. Autodesk has a character creator. Autodesk has a character creator. There's just a bunch of different things to use to make these things. Now again, these are decidedly CG, right? They definitely have a look of the uncanny valley, right, where you see these dead eyes. And we're working on, people are working constantly trying to make these better and better, but this is one way of getting like motion in the human form into VR, and then video can be another way, right? Video might not have as much malleability, you might not be able to adjust the animations, but it has that texture that's more real, right? And the pieces you'll be watching, Giant and Neurospeculative, have both approaches. Giant has video, and Neurospeculative has computer-generated characters, right? So Adobe Fuse, if I go into the computer in the mocap room, we have internet is slow. Maybe we just don't do Fuse at all today. Alright, well. Okay. When I gave up on it, it said, no, here we go. Alright, so this might be really like janky right now because it doesn't look like that. Apparently I'm having huge internet issues. But let's see. To make it easier, does anyone have the guest Wi-Fi password today? No? Okay. We're going to skip Fuse for a second, and I'll do MakeHuman instead. I have other demos where I show you guys Fuse. Fuse is basically, it's tied to an online platform called Mixamo. And when you get done with your character, it goes here. Mixamo itself has its own characters. Again, this is tied with Adobe Creative Cloud. If you don't have Adobe Creative Cloud, you're limited to 10 characters or 10 animations, but this is basically a motion capture repository. And you can also create characters in the other piece of software, and you can try to upload it to Mixamo, and it will actually rig your characters for you. Rigging means it adds bones so that you can rotate these bones and deform a mesh, right? This is a skeletal mesh. Okay, it's a little more apparent when you get into it. But actually, this is taking way too long. I'm going to get Ethernet hardwire. Of course, I'll have 50 good ones. So you guys just fast forward because it's part of the demo. And maybe in the meantime, we'll log in this way. Is it guest 1 or guest 030? All right. Yay! Alright, let's see if we can get a little better resolution now. Alright, so now we can see the actual interface here. So, we have basically a paint by numbers character generator. We could choose different kinds of heads with different kinds of skin tones and different kind of musculature, or different kinds of, they might not be human beings, they might be fairies or something else. So we could choose a zombie, we could choose all different characters. I'm just going to, again, I'm not the artist, I'm just a technical director, so I'll let you guys do the art. Right, so this is our head with a body with maybe a zombie leg, I don't know. Looking great. We need some arms for sure, maybe some... These are like kind of photorealistic scans of some people, right? There's some textures, materials, and we can just put together a person. That's all fine. And so you see these sections: torso, leg, arms, head. We can just choose which piece we want, and then do we need to customize it? So everything has sliders, right? We can make them bulky, right? Biceps, but like really tiny triceps, right? Just... I think he has a randomize, right? Randomize is always fun. Randomizing arms, randomizing legs, right? Torso should also be randomized. Randomize all. Let's just, all right. Okay. And then, we could stop here, but sometimes we want to give him some fashion. So I just want to give him a sideways cocked fedora, and I am good. Oh yeah, I'll just do over there. This man is happy. Semester over, done. Okay, and a mustache. All right, okay, and gloves, and also shoes. All right. Anyway, might have gone too far. So literally at this point, I just sent it to Mixamo. There's a button right here, and it will take it to the browser over there. I'm going to call this one. This guy is called, we can call him, we're Club Sandwich. All right. And it's going to upload it to Mixamo. Mixamo is this database of motions that we can then apply these motions, and then we download them. They can all be brought into the engine. Okay. So that's doing that thing in the room over on that side of the building. And over here, I'm going to take a drive with MakeHuman. MakeHuman has a different kind of look to it. Some people prefer it. Some people are scared by it and want to kill it with fire. So MakeHuman is actually it's an interface for creating a dialogue or a lecture on fluidity of gender and race. Actually, is actually what it is, because literally gender is on a slider. Right? Isn't that an interesting conversation starter right there? All right, so gender's on a slider. Age is on a slider. Watch when it goes to baby. Right? Muscle's on a slider. Weight's on a slider. And then literally ethnicity's on a slider. So it has African, Asian, Caucasian. When one goes up, the others go down. I didn't make it. I'm just saying. It's there. And then the different things are across, right? What are the things we want to do with gender? What's great about MakeHuman and everyone's adult here is that you have breast size on a slider, and if you do a nightly build, it also has other genitalia as well. It's all Python scripting. So different ages in the face and head fat slider, So this is a much more malleable tool. It has many more options there for you to go through. You can create a monstrosity in your own unique way. I think I can maybe come down to the random button, and I'll just say, let's go random. And we'll make it symmetrical, but we didn't have to make it symmetrical, but we'll just make it easier. So randomize. It's too normal. That's kind of weird. That's really bizarre. Okay, so I'm done with all the different body parts, right? I'm done with the modeling of it, so now we can add in different geometries. And again, this is open source thing, so you can load your own, cocked fedora of your own style. Come on. Ooh. That's really thinking about that fedora. There he goes. All right, and casual suits, casual shoes. Oh, wait, I can't do both? Yeah, there we go. And then overalls. Great. We could change materials out if we don't like these materials. Again, we could change all these different kind of different textures that are photoreal textures. And then we could change, there we go, poses. So like this is just a normal, this is called a pose, right? But we can add to this pose some a game engine skeleton. So this is like a standard skeleton, right? It's like 25 bones that deform the mesh in certain areas. And a bone has a thing called a weighting onto it. So every polygon has 100% that you could take of weighting. And it says that I could be influenced by, let's say, this bone right here, my forearm. If I took a polygon right there, it would 100% be driven by this bone because no other bone would have influence. If I move this bone back here, it's not going to make that move. That'd be weird. It's 100%. But if I took a polygon right here, I might want it to be 50% driven by this bone and 50% driven by this bone, right? So that's called weight mapping or bone weight mapping. So even though we have 206 bones in the human body, depending on your teeth status, 25 bones are what drives it. It's traditional, very simple motion capture skeleton, depending on whether you want intonation in the digits, or you want to do flipper hands, or it's what kind of fidelity you want of your character. So with all this geniusness, I can take my file and export it. And in the meantime, okay, there we go. I'm going to send it to I'll just do it to the desktop and save. Sorry, I just want to export. We're going to export it as an FBX. Again, all these different data types have meshes and textures, but only FBX can carry bone information with it. So that's why we use it as our asset exchange between different creation tools. What's the file name? His name is Fluffy McPancy. So we got Club Sandwich and Fluffy McPancy. All right, and say export. Oh, it's already exported. Cool. I'm gonna make sure. Okay, good. All right. We now see that we have our other character here. Mr. Club Sandwich is already ready to go for us, and this is Mixamo. And we could say, oh, are we going to include any like facial animation? We're not going to worry about that right now. It's too complicated. And then what's the level of detail we want for fingers? Right now, this is called 2 chains. It's thumbs and flipper hands, right? But you can have all the way articulation between all skeleton, all fingers are individually rigged, or you can do no fingers and it's just like that. It's like a paddle, right? And like for characters, like if you want to go mobile, like you don't want that many bones in a mobile game, so that's why we have less fidelity. Or if it's a NPC that's in the background, you don't care about having that kind of data. But if it's our main character, maybe we want to have all of the fingers done, and then it'll update it, and then it is ready to apply animations for it. Okay. Now, this was automatically connected between Fuse, the piece of software on the computer, and the web, which is the Mixamo database. But on this computer, I can put Mixamo, and just upload it from scratch. I'll show you how to do that real quick. So it's a login. Sure, I'm sure it's fine. Cool, and let's upload a character. And I'm just going to drag and drop from my desktop. And he is Fluffy. Load it up. And he already has a skeleton, okay? So this is actually easy. But we could try uploading things that we've made in other kind of software and upload it. We'll see. Like, it's a thing where it's not going to work. Maybe it's only going to work like 25% of the time. And I won't get into showing you guys custom rig today. We'll do it next week. So just stick with what we have right now, which is these two pieces of software. Cool, and now ready to go. The textures are left behind. That's fine. If I want to keep the textures, I would have to zip it up, but this is fine. So, what do we have? Name a motion. Name a motion. What's in motion? What do you want to see?
Roll a ball.
Roll a ball, like bowling. Bowing. We got bowing. We got crying. What would you want to say? What? Carlton dance. No? We could do dancing. I mean, we could do like the Macarena or something like that, or we can do like Macarena. How do you spell that? I don't even know. There we go. There we go. Okay. So, and we have a little bit of stuff here. So we can give it a little more arm space, right? If the arms are going through the body too much, we can use a slider to make it go further out, right? So it doesn't go through the body, right? Stance, I don't know what these things do. So it's really low, right? That's pretty good, right? And then we can download, right? And so it's a nice loop, right? And then let's also get maybe a samba. There we go. And a samba. And I'm downloading FBX format and just at 30 frames per second. And then, just to be on the safe side, let's get an idle. Idle's when it's, just breathing in place. That's actually, let's see. Let's go a little sass to it. But again, we want a little arm space, right? There we go. So it's not going through the body. Okay? Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. And we have, he's got a good center of gravity, this guy. Oh no, it didn't do the thing I thought. Oh, it's that one. Okay, anyway. Breathing, I'm sure we can make it have more breathing, less breathing. There he goes. I would not mess with this guy. All right, so we've got our palette that we can choose from. Let's go ahead and bring them into the engine, okay? So here's my project, and here's my world. If you remember this world, here we're at. Great. And let's go to my sequencer and turn it off real quick, because it was on autoplay. Let's turn that off. And let's make a space for skeletal meshes. So in my assets, we're going to have, come on, Yeah, sure. Okay. Make a folder for skeletal meshes. And then we can have a place for club sandwich and for fluffy. Alright. So I want to import fluffy, which is probably my download somewhere. And very important now is that there's an order of operations. I'm not just going to bring in everything at once. Alright, so we have these 3 files right here. It doesn't matter which one, but I'm going to bring it in. And I'm going to bring it in so it's a skeletal mesh. And I haven't brought it in before, so I'm going to import a mesh. Okay. Every time I import another animation, I'm not going to import a mesh. Again, I just want to bring in the data and apply it to the same skeleton so that they're all tied to the same skeleton. This is very important. And we'll just mess it up and we'll do it again when we do it wrong. Okay. So we're bringing in the skeletal mesh. Yes, this is a skeletal mesh. If I uncheck that, it would just bring in the polygons and not bring in that rigging that we did. And then we're going to bring the mesh because it's the first time. And then I can choose to bring in an animation. I'm not going to this time. I'm just going to bring in the character without the animation. And then it has a bunch of materials that it has to probably process, and then I'm going to show you how to fix those. Oh, it finished Fuse. There we go. No, I don't need to save that. Alright. So here's our character. And I think it's in the ground. Okay, so we made the character. We made it with, it was in an A pose. And that was actually, I want to bring everything in as a T pose. The distinction is A pose is kind of like a different kind of idle, and a T pose is like perfect for mocap. It's the way to get the polygons the furthest away from each other, so that you're not having any weight mapping issues between the body. I could have done that in MakeHuman. I just didn't do it. I think we'll be fine otherwise. So this is our main character, and it's called, his name is not idle. His name is Fluffy. Cool. Now I want to bring in the animations again onto Fluffy. Okay, so I'm going to import, and I'm going to take all 3. And they are skeletal meshes, but I'm not going to import the mesh. I already have a skeleton, and I want to put it on this skeleton right here. Right? It's called idle because that was the name of the file I uploaded. And then we bring them in. And the pink file type is the one that denotes skeletal mesh, and we just need to make sure that we just have one. That way they're all tied and they can be blended together. Okay. And it's going through the keyframes. It's trying to reduce keyframes, trying to reduce the amount of data that are on the animation files. I can also import a T-pose this way. And then when I would import this, if I was going to do this again, if I had more time, I would actually call this one the name of the character, and that way the skeletal mesh is correctly named. Cool. Still going through the samba dancing. That's fine. Let's see what's happening over in this world. He's ready to go. Alright. Boxing. Awesome. All right, almost done. they're going to import crazy. And that's what I'm going to show you how to fix before we walk out of here today. It's moving. Yeah, maybe this is when you go get lunch when you're importing a bunch of animations. I think maybe it's just I have a lot of bones in the character or something. I don't know. Wow, it's crunching. Crunch, crunch. It'll be a race against time. Crazy. Almost there. Something wrong with my computer has never taken this long. Just so you know, don't be scared about this. It should be easy. Almost worth restarting the computer for. Alright, let's try importing on this other computer instead. Let's call boxing. Open. And this time I only have one animation, so I'm going to just import them both together. There we go. Import all. And we're done locally. Here we go. Okay, so let's take a look at this thing. This is our skeletal mesh layout. And there we go. Slow down. You must be pretty small. Looking pretty good. Alright, not too scary. Alright. But over here, if we look at this guy from Mixamo, it's absolutely terrifying. It's horrifying. He's inverted. Yeah. So it's a way that game engines render transparency. I won't get into too much about rendering techniques today, but we need to turn all these materials, which are basically, you're seeing the back of them. Yeah, it's called, like, it's actually forward rendering and deferred rendering. This is deferred rendering where transparency is rendered after as a later pass. Come on. Which does result in a culling look. Getting closer, getting closer. Terrifying. So we get closer, you see, like, we actually can see inside his mouth and see his tongue all the way through, and it's pretty grotesque. I've actually seen much worse. But the most important thing is I'm going to show you how to fix it, and it's just because of the way it renders transparency. This material is going into a transparency. It's a transparent material, and the way you fix this is by converting it to a masked. Masked means it's either transparent or it's not, right? It's binary. It's either black or white. But if we have transparency, it's a grayscale bit of information. So we fix this and go into opacity mask. Our gentleman will be in much better state. I mean, he wasn't good to begin with, but he's better. Cool. So now, like, slowly bringing him back to life. So we'll find the hat and slowly bring him back to life. So it's just something to know. It's a known thing on the forums and stuff. It works fine in all your, like, Maya and everything, but when you're getting into a game engine like Unreal, Unity, it's just the way they render differently because they're doing it in real time. So you have to just fix that little transparency to opacity thing. All right. And now he's getting closer, right? We have to fix the other image that's his tongue, but we were seeing through him to the back of him, right? So just to start off with, maybe we'll get into sequencer next week since class is over. But if we go into the interface for this character, it has a skeleton. We can review how many bones it has, right? The mesh, and the animations. And the animations are kind of listed here. I don't know, he's crooked. Let's just MakeHuman stuff. So here's our different animations, right? And then if I browse to assets, and I come back here into the world, the ones with the dark green are animation assets. Oh, he's super tiny. Now he might be too big. There's the idol. And where else do we have? We got samba dancing. Also, we'll make it at 100. And then these characters are ready to go. Right? So if I simulate, because I drug in the animations, they're just doing their thing. Right? So that's crazy. So anyway, we have animations in our world. These are enough to trigger things. Like if these dances were in the real world, like if these dances moved around in position, they would actually knock over boxes and that kind of stuff. So let's just mess around with putting characters inside the world in, like, important places. Like if they are cooking, download an animation of them cooking and just place them in the world, right? So we're messing around with the engine again. We can have sequencer maybe for doing some cameras, since a lot of people didn't do camera work, and let's just work with doing that. And we'll pick up next week with actually putting animations in sequencer. Just worry about cameras and sequencer, since a lot of people didn't get a chance to do that for this week. But yeah, start a dance party. And that's where we'll stop today, since we went over.